Well, welcome back to another episode of Meet the Author, everybody. Today I have Kelsie Ray with me here. Kelsie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yes, so happy here. So I like to kind of always start these with a little bit of an icebreaker question just to kind of ease the tension and everything. So I have to know, are you more of a chocolate or a vanilla person?
I would say chocolate. The older I'm getting, though, I used to be chocolate everything, and the older I'm getting, the more I'm like, ooh, strawberry flavor or da. So chocolate, but that is like slowly changing as I get older.
Totally understand that. I used to like not use just bring up strawberry. It just makes me think of I do anything. And for some reason, recently I like crave strawberry. Strawberries are like strawberry flavored things. So I can it's not always black or white, I guess. Glitter vanilla. There's others. So
Variety, right? Variety is good.
we need a variety in our life. Yeah, we can't just have things. We need the gray area. That's what variety is for. Well, I have your beautiful stack of books here. Let's start with these. You put them all together like this, and I literally just like to stare because they're gorgeous. And I know you probably feel the same. So let's talk a little bit about first in a second. Maybe have not been introduced to Kelsie Ray. Tell us just a little bit about yourself and everything about you.
I'm Kelsey Ray. And Kelsey is my real name. I know some people, sorry, that was, I have other friends who have pen names and I don't know how they pick a name that isn't their real name because I'm like, how do you answer to a name that's not what you were born with? But yeah, I'm Kelsey and I write mainly contemporary romance. I do have like a mafia series out and another pen name that does one's dark romance and one's paranormal. No, I guess it's urban fantasy, I guess. But yeah, I'm got 2 monster puppies and a cat somewhere around here. Oh, I think I did lock her out. I'm no dummy because she would be right here. She likes to always leave her appearance. Yeah, and just a stay-at-home mom.
That's awesome. Well, obviously, you are a well-known author, very popular book. Some of your more recent books that we have here is the Don't Let Me series. So we are talking about, hockey romance with this. What inspired you to be like, all right, I'm writing a hockey romance, like I'm doing this. This is something that I want to jump into.
So, funny enough, Don't Let Me Fall, I wrote the whole first draft before deciding maybe I should play hockey. So it was like a total afterthought that I decided to put the whole sports portion into that novel, and I'm so glad I did because it's done really well, but that was like an afterthought. It
That's
just worked out. Happy
interesting.
coincidence.
I love that. You would never guess that because this whole series, I mean, it's been like branded as a sports romance series. And obviously, like, it's so heavy within the series with like all the players, that's like the team basically and like the roommate. I mean, it's everything is hockey related. So that's so fantastic that it's that way. I want to talk about the start of Don't Let Me Fall because obviously, like, how that book begins is just epic level. If people haven't read it, slight spoiler here. Okay, him airdropping his number to her is like the most top tier awesome thing ever. What inspired you to be like, this is the way to start a book? Like we're full force, we're going for it.
Okay, that seed was added 2 days. 2 days? Maybe we'll say a week max before I uploaded that thing to my ARC readers, and it was total fluke. I love my readers, and I whenever they get ideas that would be good, they always send them to me, and I try to put them in to whatever book I'm working on. Mainly, I mean, obviously they're great ideas, but a lot of the time it's even for someone to reach out to me and be like, "I can't believe you actually put that in a book." And so that was one of those scenes where I was like, "Oh, this meet cute is so perfect. Can I pull this off a week before deadline? I think I'm going to do it." So, yeah, it was just a reader who reached out to me and was like, "Hey, have you seen this? Because this would be perfect." And I said, "Yes, that would be perfect. We need to use that."
When you wrote Don't Let Me Fall, you said that you just like wrote it all and then you added the hockey aspects to it later. Did you go in just writing this as expecting it to be one book and then it kind of turned into a series, or did you have an idea of Let Me Fall?
Um, so I always That's a good question. I usually, um, when I kind of am starting a book one, I know that it's going to end up leading to an interconnected series of some kind. Whether it's two books in the series or five, that's a little bit more up in the air. It depends on how much interest is there from my readers to like continue the story. Um, or the series, I guess I should say. So I knew that I wanted Blakely and Theo, and if that book did well, then I would continue with, but Kate's story as well as Mia's. But it was a big toss up. I had no idea if people were going to want to continue. So,
That's awesome. So I have to ask, this is one of my favorite questions to ask authors, but I think it's one of y'all's least favorite questions to get asked. Do you have a favorite character? We'll just like narrow it down to this series because again, I know you have a few other series. Do you have a favorite character in the series?
oh, that's a mean question.
Authors to pick children, I know.
It is. Um, I love all of them. I love Colt and Ash because that one completely like it changed my life. Their story did because it was so accepted by everybody. Like that book, I think it hit like number 3 in the Amazon store, best selling book I've ever written. Um, and it got just a lot more readers to reach out to me and say how much they loved um Ash and kind of the situation she was in. I had a lot of people say, I'm Ash. I'm in this relationship with a guy who doesn't treat me right. Da, 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 da. And so I think she was really relatable for a lot of people. Um, but I can't say she's my I like them all for different reasons. But that one, I really love them because they kind of started that ball rolling to, you know, make my life where it is now. So
Do you feel like you had a book like within this series that was the easiest for you to write? Like you just sat down and you just like knew the story by heart and was the easiest to put out, or were they kind of all the same?
ooh, as far as ease of writing, I would say Kate and Macklin's was probably the easiest, which is book 3. Don't Let Me Break. That was probably the easiest to write.
Awesome. And so we'll talk just for a second about your newest book, obviously, in this series that just came out, Don't Let Me Down. How was it going into this book? It's a little bit different than the other ones in the sense like you kind of had the first few books and it's like roommate situation and everything. But now they, are out of school and they're kind of doing their own life and their own thing. And you have, but now, how is it going into this book, knowing that they're a little bit old, changing a bit?
Oh, it was fun. I had been waiting for Mia's to write Mia's book. So, um, she is actually in the previous series I had been writing, which is my Wrecked Roommate series. She's a character from like the 4th book in that series, and I knew with her crazy backstory, that she deserved like her happily ever after and stuff. So I had been like kind of Uh, so okay, this is going on a little bit of a tangent. I through Spotify, I create playlists that remind me of a character or a story that I want. I have had her playlist like being um created, like cultivated, right? For over a year and a half. Oh, sorry, there's a fluff. You probably can't see it, but I can, and it's gonna drive me nuts. But so I knew kind of what I wanted, and I knew that she needed someone who was older, who wasn't in school, um, and I wanted him to be rich because she had grown up without any money. So I was able to kind of steer her through college, and you guys get to see her be a little bit younger until hitting kind of the real world and how it was a little bit of a slap in the face for her. And getting to see how she was going to kind of wade through that mess with the help of a guy who is awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're my favorite story just because like don't look again that story is just so good and I love Colt and Ash so much, but I think they're probably just because like the banter between the two of them, the tension is so good. It's just like top tier every time you like have them in a room, even from I think it's don't blanking right now. Let Me Love You. All the little moments that you get, like that it's coming because of this book. Like all the little scenes between them, you're just like, make out already. Like, we just need you to get together. So that's so awesome. You know, I think readers finally getting to that point, you know, that they got her story too. I loved me as a character every single time, you know, having her as a roommate. She had some great, you know, like one liners, just things that were, you could see like her personality really shining throughout the series. So I was so excited when her book finally came out. You kind of touched on it a second ago. You know, you have a character in mind and you have like for them. But when you go write, what's that process like for you when you're like, okay, I'm starting fresh, you know, how am I going to writing this?
Um, Excellent question. I'm actually doing that right now. I starts with a playlist. Songs are like my jam. I'll even go and just drive around and listen. I'm like, oh, that one fits. Let's, and so I do start with that. And then I write a very, I write from A to Z. I can't jump around in a manuscript. And it's pretty vague. It's kind of I don't outline. So it's kind of an outline, but it's got all the dialogue there and that kind of thing. And then the second read through is where I add more of, the world building aspect of it. And then that third and fourth read through are just kind of where I tighten everything and make it really work. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. And then I end up a week before it releases making a massive change.
Adding that extra stress to your life, just being like, oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to completely redo this whole part and now I'm going to stress myself out for the next week.
I'm pretty sure my editor hates me because of that right there. She's like, "Will you stop touching that thing?" I'm like, "I can't help it."
Don't make me stop. I just have all these changes real quick, real quick.
I know. It's okay, it'll be fine. It's only 10,000 words. She's like, "Stop it."
That's so awesome. So I have to ask, you know, you just said that you're in writing mode again. Do you have a favorite place that you like to write? Is that at home? Do you like to, I know some people like to go places to write, like coffee shops or something. Where do you feel like your brain's going the most and you feel the most at peace when you're writing?
Um, so I have an at-home office, and when my kids are in school, I get a lot done at my at-home office. When they are not in school, I definitely disappear as often as I can to just a local coffee shop, and that's where I'm able to get a lot of work done, which is nice, but rare.
That's awesome. I truly I authors of kids full time. I mean, it blows my mind the fact that people are able to do so much like writing, but then also having to be a mom and taking care of things around the house. I mean, really hands down, you guys are the best because that's so awesome that you're able to do all that. And I'm sure not being in summertime now really helps too to just have a second to
Yes.
breathe and get things, back in order and everything. So you kind of mentioned, and you can tell me no, that you're writing something. Can you give a little tease as to what you're writing and what's to coming, or is that still hush hush for now?
Oh no, yeah, I can tell you. So, um, for better or worse, I I have started releasing audiobooks at the same time that I release an ebook and a new release, right? And that means that I have to be writing like way too far in advance in order to let the narrators narrate the book, right? So I just finished A Little Complicated, which is a next gen series. It actually features Mia and Henry's twin boys and Blakely and Theo's daughter. So I don't want to say it's a love triangle. I definitely don't think it is. Like, I feel like from the beginning, you know who I am setting her up to be with. But there is so much drama in that book. One of my beta readers just wanted to strangle me. So, but that's the one I just finished. And then the next one that I am brainstorming right now and kind of starting the writing process will be Colt and Ash's daughter and someone else that I'm not going to say.
No spoilers on that front. We're gonna keep that a little bit too.
Yeah, not yet.
That's so awesome. So with some of your characters, you have a playlist and everything that really helps you kind of set the stage for what you want for these characters. But do you ever take people from your real life and kind of, help shape your characters? Or a lot of time is it just like straight up, no, these are fiction people, they have people from my real life?
Everybody, like, you're not safe. If even if or you're not safe in the room with a writer. If you know a writer, you're not safe. And they may lie to you and they may say, "No, I didn't take this little tidbit from you at all." No, they did. They most definitely did. Um, and it'll be little things like in my first book, my husband only read the first chapter of my first book because he's not a reader. But he was like, "Wait a minute, why did you give him black socks? I have black socks. Why'd you give him a green toothbrush? I have a green toothbrush." I'm like, "Well, don't know what to tell you." So yeah, there's so much of that, just like cherry picking, like, "Oh yeah, that would work." And yeah.
That's awesome. I love that so much. I love to ask that question because some people will be straight up like that. They're like, oh yeah, I have this character, it's not my aunt or it's like my best friend. And I know there's a lot of people that, oh no, I've completely, everything is made up, inspired by the things, which not to discredit, but I feel like if I was an author, if I was writing a book all the time, people in real life, if you have a crazy encounter somewhere, people watch all the time. I feel like that's so common for people. It'd be like, oh, that's a scene in a book. It's just like you can see
Yeah.
so quickly out in the real.
Well, and even if that's the start of a scene, like that's the, step one and it transforms into something completely different. That like foundation from that scene, it still counts because you still get it from the people watching or from a TikTok or just yeah, everything.
Yeah. Speaking of TikTok, I want to pivot for just a second. I love how you, promote your books on there and you have what made you decide to start doing it that way? Starting all your videos the same. That way readers can be like, oh, it's one of these and she's a book.
Again, total fluke. I don't know if you remember, this was over a year ago now. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I think it's almost 2 years now. It was a Taylor Swift trend where it was like the please don't be in love with someone else. Do you remember that trend? Anyway, where like the people are screaming in the shower to that song. And someone just did a little snippet of it and I stitched it and I was like, oh, okay, but what if he was in love with someone else? And then it just like went from there. And it was again total fluke. I wasn't planning on writing that scene or that book. Like that was from Don't Let Me Fall. I had no intention of it going anywhere until everyone was like, okay, so when can I pre-order? What's the title of the book? Da, da, da. I'm like, oh, so this is happening. Cool, cool, cool. Let me go see what I can do. So yeah, total fluke. I don't know. I got nothing. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Do you feel like now having that, okay, but what if has really helped people to connect to their Kelsie Ray book situation?
For better or worse, yes. I do think some people see me and they're like, oh, that's the book lady. And then they keep scrolling. But then I have people who do like my work and they're just like, oh, let me get the popcorn. Like, tell me what's going to happen. So
I think it's so smart yourself. TikTok, very small, little that you see, and the fact pull some great scenes from your books. It's like that someone's done that, a small scene can it make or breaks, things I want to buy on TikTok all the time. If someone shows me, I love that. I think it's so smart that you're using that as like a marketing space to put your books out. Social media is, I mean, you kind of, for better or worse, have to have this world, to do things for yourself and everything. It's just one of those things that like has a lot of good, but then it also has a lot of negative things. How is it for you, while you're writing, but then you're also trying to act for yourself? And how do you find that balance between, okay, I'm an author, I need to write, but I also have to be devoting myself so people know that I'm writing?
Yeah, it's insane. My my kids make fun of me because they'll see me like I'm on my phone all the time, whether I'm just doing work. But even scrolling on TikTok, I can justify as I'm looking at the latest trends. I'm looking for a TikTok to stitch so that I can talk about one of my books, that kind of thing. And so that's probably the hardest part of it is that it's so easy to just like lose yourself in social media under the mindset of this is work. Um, which is because even like my husband, he does it and he's just like, nope, I'm wasting time. I'm like, oh, but I'm not. I mean, I am, but I'm not. So that's probably the hardest part is finding like okay, we're gonna spend an hour on TikTok and then that's it. And then we're gonna shift over. Um, I also, and this is something that I'm not great at, which you've probably noticed because I do not post on TikTok the way that I should be if I was going to fully utilize that platform. Um, but yeah, I've definitely like when I'm writing a story, I am so immersed in that story that I'm not even thinking about social media or newsletter or like I just opened a Shopify store to sell direct. All of that stuff, it's so easy to push that on the back burner and just write. Or if I'm doing that and I'm elbow deep in marketing, I'm like, oh, wait, what were my characters doing? Now I have to go and start from the beginning and reread. So that's probably the hardest part is just finding that balance, which I'm not great at it. So I have no piece of advice.
I can definitely see how, it's hard to have to separate, and to try to figure out, okay, this needs this and this needs to be my time for that. And I like schedules in my head. I'm like, okay, you're gonna do this time of the day, and this. I'm very much like a few minutes over. I'm like, okay, well now we're just gonna, move the schedule around or whatever. So I feel like, if you're writing, you're like, okay, I'm gonna write till then, and then I'm up. Well, I pass the social media part. Do I today? And it can be very much a complicated thing. Going back, maybe not necessarily, how the covers and the colors of these books. I love them so much and how they just like all flow together. How do you go about picking a cover to be, this is the color I wanted? What is that process like for you?
Well, for Don't Let Me Fall, again, I wasn't planning on writing this book. I wasn't planning on putting it up for pre-order. So I created that book or that cover in about 10 minutes on Photoshop. And then I slapped it up there with every intention of it just being a placeholder and it not becoming the official cover. And then when we got closer to release, I was I think I was in my Facebook group asking, I was like, so like, which one do you like? And they're like, don't you dare change that original cover. And so again, the people pleaser in me, I was like, okay, whatever you say, I won't change the cover. So that is how that cover came to be is it was a placeholder cover. And now there's no going back. That's the whole series.
I love so many things, that have worked out so nicely. You're just like, that was a happy accident. That was another happy accident. It's like
Yeah.
people say,
That worked out well. I guess it teaches you to trust your gut, right? And just kind of go with it.
people sitting at home are like, okay, she's a mastermind, she's done this, and you're like, I'm happy to be here, and it just worked out nicely.
Please let me stay. That's where I'm at.
That's so awesome. Well, as we're kind of wrapping everything up here, have this whole series, a few other series about where can people most easily find you, whether that's social media, where to get your books. Where's the best way for people to connect with all things Kelsie Ray?
Obviously on TikTok. That's probably one of my favorite places to be. I'm also on Facebook. I have a reader group that's really fun. I'm on Patreon. If you like exclusive covers, that's definitely the place to be. Um, I have really good discounts on shopauthorkelsieray.com for especially book bundles. Like I think I have an 11 book series for $26 or something like that. And audiobooks, a lot cheaper on there. So if you're interested in kind of dipping your toe in a Kelsie Ray book, I do recommend going over there because it's cheaper. It kind of cuts out the middleman, and I pass a lot of those discounts to you. So it's fun. That's where you can
so
find me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Again, this was so much fun. I loved getting to know more about, you and your series. And again, I love the series so much. This was, I think, my first actual hockey romance. I made a video and I was like, I think I'm going to jump into hockey romance. Like, I'm going to do sports romance trend. I'm jumping all in. And then this was like the first book I picked up, and I read Don't Let Me Fall in a day because I was obsessed. Like, again, from the get-go, the whole airdropping thing, I was like, all right, I'm finishing this book today. Like, it's too good. And so I read all of them so fast. Every single time I got a new one, I got my hands on. I was like, all right, trying to stop and do everything, and I'm going to finish this book right now. So definitely love this. Definitely have recommended it so much on my TikTok too, because I think it's so much fun. And I'm just so glad you were able to come on today. This was so much fun for me.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me. This has been great. And I can finally, pop the YouTube cherry of doing a video.
That's awesome. Well, you guys make sure you're staying subscribed to everything here at Michaela's Book Nook so you can see more exciting author interviews, book reviews, and more. Until next time, thanks, guys.